some of you already know that if you pay close attention that we're making a small size keyboard. And of course we didn't do that for nothing. We've actually been thinking about making a small size keyboard for a longer time.
A long time, yeah.
Yeah. And starting this year, we were finally able to really kick it off and get it into the works. And in this last, 8 months, we've just been making steps forward, getting it to
really
a production state.
The project.
Sorry?
Really kickstarting the project.
Yeah, really kickstarting the project, yeah. And we're now in this phase where we feel like, okay, we need to make the final call and launch it, and this is the project, and we're going to go for this.
Yes.
And the theme of this keyboard, which we're hashing out more and more, is take control.
Take control.
Yeah. And we call it take control because if you know, we have our analog control, we have with the lecker switches where you can adjust all these things to your liking, and you can actually get an advantage in games in different ways.
Yeah.
So then the question is kind of, okay, we did TKL, right?
We did a full size.
But we didn't do anything smaller, like a 70, maybe 65%.
Or 60% keyboard. Ta-da! Very nice.
Yeah.
Beautiful, epic. This is like the moment people applaud, right?
Yeah. So we can't hear chat applauding though.
I guess we should do a little top-down cam of it, right?
Yes, let's go top view.
Top view.
Let me guide you guys through this design because it took us a while. Because one of the key points was for this design, when we just started, we were actually focused on a different design and a different style. But as we progressed and got to the 60%, we decided we really need to make sure we can capture Wooting style, but make it feel modern. And then specifically looking at 60% keyboards, I don't know about you guys, a lot of 60% keyboards are really boring.
Yeah.
The cases are boring, unless you go like a full aluminum casing or a super custom case, or they're ugly. So we wanted to combine this modern feeling Wooting and make the 60% case beautiful.
Yeah.
And that's how we got to this point where now we have what you can see that we still have the iconic, I don't know if this is easier to show like this way. Is that more in screen for them? Okay.
You can
Because
also take the detail cam.
we'll grab it out after.
Okay,
I'll go through, yeah. So we have our iconic slant still on the front, but that slant actually doesn't touch the bottom, and it's
kind of awkward. You should flip the keyboard around because it's already from your perspective.
like this.
Like this.
Oh, right. Okay. So we have the iconic slant, which you know from all our Wooting keyboards, and then we have this like a little bit more thicker edge around, but it's actually not all around the keyboard. And one of the things that we really wanted to do with this 60% is make it as thin as possible. So don't add any meat, and make sure it has like a slim design, but still keeps an iconic Wooting feel and ID. And there's a lot of details on this keyboard that you will find out as you
Explore more.
explore more.
Yeah.
Now, this is a mock-up case, so it's not the final plastic case. We'll get back to what stage we are later. But here you can see also a really cool grill of the keyboard. This is a USB-C port. You can see that we used colored silicone feet in yellow.
Yeah.
And then, what is this?
What is that?
What is that?
What is this?
What? What is that stuff? So this is what we call the strap. And it's funny because as we were going through the designs, how did we end up with the strap?
I don't remember.
Well, it actually was
tell
an
me.
awesome idea from Kevin.
Yes.
So we were going through the designs and we felt like, okay, this is cool, but we need to still do something new and exciting.
Yes.
Something out of the box, something you haven't seen before. And Kevin came with this amazing idea to just add a strap to the keyboard.
Yeah.
So the strap.
Close-up cam.
Oh,
Right. Okay.
Should I operate it and you?
You operate it. I don't know if we can maybe. I don't know if we'll be in the way.
Okay, I'll take it from this side.
It has to go underneath. It's better.
I'll have it from here.
All right.
Okay.
All right. So the strap here. Keep in mind everything's still in development. So colors, material details, you know, still working on those. But the strap here is basically a static. As I can't put it any other way, and you can strap basically anything you want on it. We made this what we call the attachment here, which you can disconnect by, it's like
Chicago screw.
Yeah, they call it Chicago screw. I really don't have a better name. I don't have a better name for it right now. But you can unscrew it here. No, I'm not going to take it off.
Okay.
But you can unscrew it, and then you can remove this strap, and then you can attach a different strap to it, or you can make your own strap or make whatever you want. Just poke 2 holes and you can attach to it. And we really hope that kind of adds a bit more creativity to the keyboard and uniqueness, where you can also make it more your own. We of course put on the strap Take Control and in yellow theme, because that is the theme of the keyboard itself.
Yes, and very importantly, matching with the silicone feet on the back.
Mm.
I was in
So-
camera.
Oh!
Yeah, so the strap, obviously you can also take it off and leave it off if you don't like it, and then you have still a very nice keyboard.
Yes.
But we think you're going to keep it on, and you're really going to enjoy the strap.
Yes.
And besides, you can also always, you know, grab it here
Hey.
and bring it with you. You can give it to your lady friend, you know, give
Very
it to your
nice.
wife, you know, then it becomes an accessory.
Fashionable.
Fashionable, yeah.
A little bit closer, camera.
Okay.
So, Jeroen, what can we do with the keyboard?
What can we
Looks
do with
pretty.
Well, obviously, it can type. You know, Wooting 2 Kickstarter reference, or Wooting 1 Kickstarter reference even. So, types very nicely. I think also because now we have a more close, no longer floating design, but it's, what is the name of the non-floating design? That it falls into the case.
Yes.
So also the sound profile will be much better. But then key thing about this keyboard is, of
Lacquer
course,
switches.
the lacquer switch. So imagine I have a puller right now. Oh, it works. So lacquer switch is obviously in here. So that will be the key feature of this keyboard. So for those of you who has already received the lacquer edition and the HE, I think like pretty much will match your experience, but then we really hope with this 60% audience we're gonna like bring the lacquer switch to the next level. That's definitely the big idea. So let me just to kind of like recapture some of the amazing features we have with the lacquer switch. One of the core things we're gonna focus on with this keyboard is speed, esports, small, looks good.
Yeah.
And one of the core features there is actuation point. So also with this keyboard, obviously we're going to have our tachyon mode input speed are smaller than 1 millisecond scanning. And then also on top of that, we have our actuation point, which you can change from 0.1 to 4 millimeter.
Whole range.
The whole range. So with the 0.1 millimeter, you can have literally feather touch actuation.
For lots of typos.
Yes, for lots of typos, yes. But and then also you can also change the actuation point for every single key. So if you want to have like your WASD maybe a little bit more more responsive, or a little bit like, okay, I accidentally press the space bar all the time, like you can put the actuation point a little bit lower, let's say to 2 millimeter or something like that. So you can really customize your experience. So actuation point, very important for this keyboard. And we also took the idea of actuation point a little bit further, where, okay, we have this analog switch, right? That means that we're not really stuck with this one actuation point anymore, but we can also make it dynamic.
Yeah.
And this dynamic actuation point we call rapid trigger. And rapid trigger basically means it's that the actuation is more in line with how you press the key. So when you press the key down, it will activate, and when the key goes back up, it will immediately disengage.
And that's a very key point when it disengages, because usually with keyboards, the key activates at a set point, let's say 2 millimeters for the most average switches. And then usually you have your key pressed all the way down. And when you're doing some kind of movement type in the game, you have the key completely pressed down, and you want to respond by release. You want to respond on something that happens in the game. Your next action is releasing the key, not pressing the key.
Yeah.
And that's where a big change is, because releasing the key, it needs to surpass that 2 millimeters again before you get a response.
Yeah.
But now with rapid trigger, it doesn't need to surpass any set point. It's just you release the key, and as soon as you released it, stops the key.
Stops the key, yeah. And this makes a big difference, especially in shooters like CSGO or Valorant, where this kind of like strafe shooting is very, very important.
Yeah.
And we're going to have some videos, I think, also of this later on our, what we're going to use to launch these days. But then that will make it very clear like what the difference is. And I think also another interesting point that you just made is that what sometimes other switches do to make a switch faster, even though they still have a set activation point, is they change the activation point to 1.2 millimeter, like the cherry speeches, for example.
Yes.
But then what they cannot solve is that when it activates at 1.2 and you press it all the way, then when you release, it actually has to go all the way back
Even
up to
further
1.2.
up.
Yeah, it has to get even further up. So actually, okay, your initial response might be a little bit faster, but then the response when the key has to disengage, that is actually very, very
Gets
slow.
even slower.
Yeah. So it sounds fast, not so fast. Rapid trigger, that is fast.
That is fast. That's the difference between gaming companies that just do it for the marketing and actually people that understand gaming and look at how can you actually improve performance and listen also to the feedback of the community, where we've got a lot of feedback on rapid trigger and where we can improve it, and also some other features that we have.
And then the last feature I wanted to highlight is remapping. And remapping is a feature we already have live for a long time, but obviously for the 60% remapping is going to be very, very important, because you don't have the F1 to F12 layer row here, and you're kind of missing the keys here, so they will be controllable with layers. And we're really thinking about a lot of solutions to make these layers better.
And of course, the first thing you'll be saying, but gosh, guys, 60%, I want a 65% because those dedicated arrow keys are a must, right? And I'll tell you now, okay? Yes, the arrow keys are a must. You're completely right, okay? But you know why they suck on 60% keyboards? Because everybody that's made a 60% keyboard completely suck and fail at implementing arrow keys. What are the problems? What are the problems? Either they fix a certain arrow solution, you better adapt, right? They make it either way too complicated, or it's set on a certain layer and it just doesn't work. You press it, but it didn't work. You tried to press it, it didn't work.
And then you try to combine it with other keys, and then
it gets
into a whole
big mess. And that's the part where we're really going to make some big changes. Now already with our remapping feature, you can get much better arrow support than you would be able to do with any other 60% keyboard. So such as, for example, you can press is it top down here?
It can be, it is now.
All right. So a really nice way that we prefer, for example, is where we can press function here and these will become arrow keys. But more importantly is when you want to combine it with another key here, for example, it should not matter which one you press first. So you can just press function, press this one, and then still use the arrow keys with that extra command you're looking for. You don't need to press it in a certain order. But if you want, you can also throw it on caps lock and then use WASD for arrow keys. And in that way, you can program the arrow keys anywhere you want. Now, there's another way to do the arrow keys where a single tap is the arrow key, but holding down is the modifier key. And that way you can put it in this area, for example. So then you can just tap for the arrow keys and you can hold for the modifier keys. And these are just some of the ways that we are already able to implement to do arrow keys much better. Oh, right. But then why do we force ourselves down the road of 60%? We could have just made it easy for ourselves and went for a 65% with a really ugly gap here or some kind of design compromise we have to make, right?
I already kind of answered the question there, but because the key problem with any kind of, let's say, 6x layout is that the bottom row is always screwed up.
Such a B.
So either you have non-standard keycaps here, they're going to kind of force the cells in here, or they have like a little gap in between here. We've explored them all, so we've explored many of them.
We've been breaking our heads over how you can get a good 65% layout where you can keep everything compact. But you have to
keep the compatibility.
And keep the compatibility, because you always have to make a compromise.
Yes.
And I don't know if you have a 65% keyboard, but try to find some aftermarket keycaps and replace the whole keyboard keycaps. Nuh-uh.
No.
Nuh-uh.
Let's jump into some questions and remarks from the chat.
Would you give me 1 second to finish the 60% case? Sorry. The last thing I want to highlight is that another big reason we went for the 60% case is because 60% case. Because we can split this little unit, which is our PCB and switch units, and you can also use different 60% cases. So if you already have a very nice aluminum 60% case, if it's like a standard case, I don't know what you would call this, but let's say the
I would
most
say
standard case.
Yeah, there's an international standard for 60% cases.
Yeah, and we specifically designed this to be 100% compatible.
Yeah.
With 60% cases.
Almost any 60% case. There's always buts and ifs.
Yeah.
But then it should fit most 60% cases.
Yeah. And then also when you are able to buy the keyboard, you are able to buy them without keycaps, so you can also use it with your own case.
Yeah. All right.
People got really excited about it.
Okay.
About the announcement.
Time for some questions then.
About the swappable case. So I've read all the jokes about Wooting strap-ons.
Aye.
And the Wii strip safety things. I also saw some, I think 2 people ask like, why the hell on earth did we add the attachment?
I think we already answered the question, but then there's
Well, the thing is that the first time you see it, right, you're looking at it from a practical side. But if you just leave it there and then think about just more when it's on your desk, right, what it adds to you. And I can tell you now, it's going to look really much nicer on your desk. And it's not in the way of anything, unless you're left-handed in this case. Yeah. But it's not going to be in the way. And we always felt like if you really don't like the strap, like you don't like the design choice at all, right?
You just take it off.
You just take it off, yeah. And still, that piece there feels like part of the whole idea, the whole design.
Okay, Pogo Keen has a nice suggestion. Are the strap points on both sides? It would be nice to have an over-the-shoulder style strap-on for Lance, like Garrett's little backpack.
That is pretty sick.
Wait, what?
So you also have a mounting point here, and then you can kind of wear it as a backpack.
Oh my god.
I like that one. Another suggestion, make spacebar into 2 keys instead of 1.
That's very interesting you mentioned that. We actually considered this and we figured out a layout for it. But there's no cross compatibility. We can't do both. We can't make one PCBA and plate with a 6.25 spacebar that is also compatible with a split spacebar. Yeah. Plus you get, and then if we have to choose between the split and the 6.25, we have to choose for what is most compatible and most accepted by end user, which is 6.25 spacebar. But it could fit if we make a different one.
Yeah.
CrossVS suggests that you can use the strap as an anti-theft device at the office.
That is a pretty good idea.
Yeah, there was another question I had here queued up, but that was about the interchangeable PCBA with another case.
Yeah.
And people are also asking if they can buy a PCBA separately or with switches or...
Yeah. I'm not sure if we want to dive into that detail now, but I think we can quickly mention. I also specifically said without keycaps, and the reason I said it is that we will sell the PCB with switches with the case, and we actually considered also separating the case.
That's how it started. Actually,
that's actually how it started.
We wanted to sell it separate.
Yeah,
but then, coming down to business and logistics, if we cannot be certain of the demand for the bottom case, and we cannot be certain of the demand for just the module, which would be the plate and the PCB. Yeah. It's a very big risk and very costly to start separating these. Yes. So it was much more economic to just put them together.
Yeah, it was actually just too expensive to separate the bottom case. Yeah. Because the bottom case itself as a separate product would just make it way too expensive. Will increase the cost too much.
Yeah, there's a lot of because you need fluff cost.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You need like another packaging. You need another packaging stuff, and also the factory. They go like, oh, you want to separate the bottom case that belongs to this keyboard? It's a separate product now, so we want more money. That's that's the core. That's the key reason. Even though we really wanted to, but that's the reason why we kept the bottom case together with the PCB and the switches. But then the keycaps will be separate. And if you want to get the keyboard without the keycaps, you also get a discount, just like with the HE.
Yes.
According to the script, we're not diving into any details about pricing during this stream because we had some questions about how expensive.
Oh, right.
Yes.
But I guess people are curious when the delivery is or when the pre-order starts, if we have any pre-orders. So maybe Kalle can elaborate on that, and Jeroen can maybe hook up the cable.
Okay.
All right.
Do some sound checks and showcase.
So we're going to go into the meaty stuff when it comes to pre-orders and how we're going to launch it and when you can expect it in a moment.
Yeah.
In general, but I can, since it's okay to repeat a couple things. I can already tell you right now is that we do plan to launch what we're going to call the Founders Campaign.
Yeah.
We'll get to.
Yeah.
In September, and then we expect to deliver in 2022 Q2, and if you're true Wooting followers, right? This is with a bunch of padding on top of it.
And keeping Chinese New Year in mind.
And keeping Chinese New Year in mind.
Our favorite holiday.
Our favorite holiday.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we really wanted to make sure that when we launch this product, when we launch this 60%, we want to do this from everything we've learned as best as we can after going through so much development struggles with switching manufacturer and etc.
Yeah.
Does the keyboard have childless RGB?
RGB, good thing you ask. So I just want to highlight one thing before we plug it in, is that if you paid attention, this is actually a metal plate, but it's white. And the reason it is white is because it essentially creates a mirror for the RGB. So you kind of get this mirror. You kind of get this infinity effect when you plug it in. So here we go. Ooh. Do we want to do the detail cam? Where is it? Oh wait.
More towards you.
This way?
Nice. This is nice. That's good.
So we'll keep it like this. So now you can also kind of see. I don't know how well it shows in camera.
It looks pretty sick, and I'm gonna turn off the lights anyway.
But you can very, very clearly see from this angles that the light under the RGB underglow it gets reflected back and forth by this white top plate, and it kind of creates this like very smooth effect. So it's kind of as if you have. It reminded me of putting keycaps, but without. Yeah.
So with putting keycaps, it would even amplify the effect.
Yeah.
And I would add here is that what is very nice is that it's not a floating design.
Yeah.
Meaning that the case stops at the edge of the keycaps.
Yeah.
So therefore everything is contained and it looks more, I would say, sharp.
Close-up cam. Okay. Let's do a little flyover close-up cam.
Does the 6% work with a metal case?
So yes, the whole idea of the 60% is also that we have that international compatibility with other 60% cases. So you could just swap it out for there's always buts and ifs, aluminum 60% cases. You could also make your own, something that we were not able to recommend before, since the whole PCB and switch plate is connected together as a module, what we've shown here.
Yeah.
You can basically make a custom case. You can do whatever you want and it will have no impact on the performance of the keyboard because it's already modular together as a unit. You can just build whatever you want around it.
Yeah.
You can even plug it in like this and play with it. Yeah, but don't do that.
Can we do sound check, typing test?
Typing test.
You want me to type?
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
So keep in mind, this is still a mock-up sample.
Looks like your wrists are aching.
Oh, let me do something about that. Oh my gosh.
Here you go.
All right. Oh, what a good fit.
Oh, what a perfect fit. So wait, you're saying this Wooting wrist set is also compatible with the keyboard?
Yeah, and look what a nice fit it is. It's like,
and it's
it was
available
made
now for just $29.99.
So actually we focused a lot also on acoustics.
Yeah.
That's also one of the reasons why we wanted the whole case to be as slim as possible. We really pushed it.
Yeah.
But we also put foam padding underneath, and it's it's a double layered foam, but it will end up being it's a thick foam piece.
Yeah, and I think we're still kind of exploring like the exact foam details. I think Kevin is still experimenting with different setups to get like the best sound profile possible. Yeah,
we're still testing, and obviously the case is going to be pretty similar in sound, but then there are some differences. This case is a bit more hollow because it was not plastic injected; it was CNC'd, so the plastic is not as solid.
Right.
But in general, this would be.
Yeah.
Oh, and we have the tolerances of the top plate, which is not as tight as the final. So there are factors that change and will get better.
Yeah.
People love the sound so far.
Yeah, it's good.
Great.
And there are still people wondering what the strap is for.
So Statics man, what's going to
next
say?
time.
So.
Let's jump to the next topic.
Yeah, jump to the next topic.
Okay, so I think we can make this one. We touched upon kind of why we got to the how we got to the process of the 60%. We actually started this like 3 years ago. I think the idea that we wanted to make a small size keyboard, and as soon as Kevin started in the team, one of his main first he started with the wrist rest, the original TKL and full size wrist rest. And the next thing was already to start thinking about, okay, 65% keyboard. That was the original aim and goal. And we actually had a bunch of different 3D designs that we really loved. And we had this one design, we're like, this is going to be it.
Yeah.
But as we progressed forward and got to understand more elements of the keyboard and working with lacquer switches and also the keycaps, we came to the conclusion, wait, but if we do this 65% keyboard, it's still going to be locked into this like fixed ecosystem. And this was before 65% was getting popular. And what we really want is to make sure we can make a keyboard that others can also take out the whole module, like the core essence of what we're making, which is the analog switches and the software, getting that competitive edge, and then put it in their own case. And that's where 60% keyboards really shine, because it has that international compatibility. So we decided, okay, that plus the keycap compatibility, where you can really decorate the keyboard as you want. And then as you can decorate the keycaps, the strap is so fitting, you can make such cool theme keyboard. Like look up any 60% keyboard and tell me if you can find one that is better, which is a plastic case, okay? Aluminum cases, there's, custom ones, but plastic case, 60%, try to find something better. It's not going to work out. So when we started doing the 60% and looked at like I said, we really wanted to make sure that the whole Wooting ID would still be in there. We first started with a bunch of 3D printed cases, and this was one of the first 3D prints, and it got a bit yellow here because it got UV exposure. This is one of the first 3D printed cases, and you can also see here the screw points. So usually with international 60%, there's another screw point here at dead center.
Can you move a little bit close to you?
Yes. So usually with international 60%, you would have another screw point here, dead center, but we removed that one, not necessary. And now we have here the standard screw points for 60%. Obviously the bottom final is much different, but this is where we started. And then, I think it's like half year of just working out the details of getting everything together, and there's a lot with keyboard development. There's lots of details you need to figure out.
One of those details I just want to highlight is you mentioned this screw in the middle, but then with the compatibility we need with this unit, there is a hole right here.
Yes.
So if your case has the screw there, then you can still use this.
Because some cases only have a screw in the center, for example.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that is quite okay.
So that's why it took also a while. We really went like up and above, looking at how can we make this keyboard as compatible as possible. Also, when it comes to like the obstruction on the PCB, with all the parts,
every single component,
and then also the ribs that go into the case, the final case, that they don't obstruct with anything. So we really tried our best to make it as compatible as possible. And that's how we ended up with the 60%. Well, that's how we. Our main motivator was 60% over 65%, and then just in general for 60%, it's just that it's become more of the gaming keyboard size. As in when we originally started Wooting, we made a 10 keyless keyboard because that was the gaming keyboard, but we found out full-size keyboards sell more at that time.
At that time, yeah.
And then we made a full-size as well because that's what people asked us to do, so that's what we did. Yeah.
There was a question that sort of was belonging to the last topic, but it's still an interesting one. It's from Zoxoprime, and I think somebody else asked this as well. Is there room in the case for a battery, or does the keyboard have Bluetooth?
That's a smart question.
That is a smart question. That is a good question. I think one thing I can definitely say is that there will be no Bluetooth on launch.
Yes.
But Bluetooth is on our mind.
Yes. we made sure and that was another big factor, but it cost us also a lot of time. We wanted to factor in the possibility to add a battery to the case so we could create Bluetooth compatibility. But then we did not want to add it on the first model, and we're not sure even when we would add it, right? But we just did not want to add on the first model because it adds lots of extra complexity.
A lot of questions.
And a lot of questions. Also, some questions that answer might be, it's just not possible because our switch types drain too much power, for example.
It's from a Straffe Hendrik. It would be nice to have some kind of pouch for the keyboard. This size keyboard is perfect for traveling, home to customers, etc. When seeing the strap, I thought maybe it would be nice to attach some kind of pouch to the keyboard strap.
Yes.
Or a separate pouch where you can attach the same strap to the pouch when traveling. Just thinking out loud.
Yeah, I mean, just thinking out loud as well. We hear you, and the whole like idea with the 60% model is like you can pick it up, put it wherever, detachable cable. Sleeve is a part of that picture.
Yeah.
So I don't think we can really talk about it now, but then
well, let's get into the product hub.
Yeah,
and we can say that that is something we intend to.
Yeah.
Right. I think we can give that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's do a few more questions if Erik has any, and then we're going to talk about how we're going to launch this keyboard.
Yes.
And then we might end up at this.
Of this keyboard. Because I also had some similar question queued up here, like why the different color scheme case with initial black and yellow, release or something afterwards. So he's talking about multiple color schemes and what will be available.
Yeah.
So the thing that is I think one of the biggest bottlenecks that we have for a company of our size is that we have a lot of ideas of what we'd want to do, but we just don't have the financial means to execute that. So we need to keep it as simple as possible and not go too elaborate on colors, because every color that we add adds a risk component, adds a financial component, and makes it more difficult for us to bring it to the market.
Yeah.
So we just decided we're just gonna take the old trusted black and make the theme around a black-based keyboard.
With some detail.
But because in that way we can still add something really nice to it.
Yeah.
As in the original idea where we had everything separated, we originally planned to also have a white case. And by separating the product, we were able to execute that.
Yeah.
But now being together, that would not be feasible anymore.
Yeah. Very practical problems in the
Practical
end.
problems,
Very boring.
Yeah.
Last
boring answer.
suggestion for the time being. Beckson suggests why not use white screws so they're less visible.
Ah.
I don't know if they're visible. I haven't seen it, but it's,
that is a good suggestion.
I
like that.
I like that one.
Yeah.
Here, for example, you can see clearly.
You can also see it through here.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, write that down.
Yeah.
We'll write it down. Yes. Okay.
Next topic?
Next.
Yes.
Okay, next topic. So the key question I think remaining is how and when are we going to launch the keyboard? And when we thought about this keyboard first, we were considering going back to Kickstarter.
Yeah.
But we always said Kickstarter, we don't want to be a Kickstarter company.
Yeah.
However, this time we have decided not to use Kickstarter. So, no Kickstarter. Of course not.
Yeah.
No, of course not. We're not going to do a Kickstarter. But then what we always, we've looked at some other keyboard launches. And one thing that is very cool about Kickstarter is to kind of have this idea where you have this sort of campaign, where you have a limited time where you can do cool stuff. You have like a counter you can follow. You have goals to reach. You have like this sort of... You have this sort of event to follow. Yeah. And you also have a reason to do updates, to make videos.
Community really comes together in a Kickstarter.
Yeah. And so we kind of looked at, okay, this is for us the most important thing about a Kickstarter, is that we have this event and we have this place where community comes together.
The community component.
So we wanted to take that part and then do it the Wooting way and do it specifically for us and do it better and kind of crazy. So that's what we're going to do. So when the keyboard launches in September, we're going to launch it on the 60% Project Hub. So the project hub will be where you can find all information about the keyboard. We really want you to be able to take a deep dive into the switches, into the technology, into all the features. We're going to highlight different games, like, okay, what kind of advantages do I have if I play Fortnite or another game?
Valorant, Trackmania.
Yeah, I was kind of hesitant to add to that because we are still kind of discussing about it. We have some differing opinions about the games we want to bring in. Yeah. Also to have like a place where you can always go for updates, where you can see the progress on the timeline, like, hey, when can I expect my keyboard to arrive?
That was one of the biggest feedback also on the Lekker edition in the HE, is where we used to do with these projects really big, well, I would write really big updates that were really nice to read, but it would only come out every 2 months or so. Yeah. And that sometimes, that's a bit of a too big of a gap. Yeah. And then our live streams, this is why we adopted the 10-minute live streams. Yeah. But that wasn't really hitting it for everybody. Like there's only a select group really watching it. Yeah. So now we really wanted to, bring the timeline more to the forefront and get more frequent updates and really create a platform where it's easy to just look up immediately what is the status.
Yes, exactly. And I think like with this, we call it the Founders Campaign. I don't know if I've used that word yet, but we're going to call it the Founders Campaign. It's probably going to be a 30-day period. And during that period, we really want to bring in the community so we can kind of launch this keyboard together. So I think also what we also aim to do is we also plan to have integrations with our, let's say, existing community, especially on Discord. We have like some things planned, like how we can integrate this launch with Discord. So that's something we're very, very excited about. It's actually something that Simon is working on right at this moment. So that's going to be very, very fun. Another thing I wanted to highlight is that because we have this like kind of 30 days period and still like this, let's say, stage of our development, kind of depending on the response we get, if people really love the product, if we have a lot of support, then we can also think about, okay, how can we make this bigger? How can we also, like, okay, let's say people have a lot of feedback about certain features, we can also still keep that in mind. So that's going to be like the Founders Campaign core purpose.
It's really the hope where we can use that project hub or product hub as a core point of the development of community, and also where you can find all the information that you'd want about the keyboard itself and the status of the keyboard. And as Jeroen mentioned, we are trying to, with this launch, we're going to try and see if we can integrate our Discord better with our, I would call them founders in this case, because that's why we call it the Founders Campaign. This integrating Discord with the founders, and also a place where you can always look back and double check, what's up with my order, because that's a thing that we also get a lot. Oh yeah, is just a general question like, what is the status of my order, right? And we want to provide as much as possible information to the forefronts where you can check it out yourself. Yeah. And we also want to create as much as possible transparency in the development, and how we're going to spend, the money that we raise for the keyboard, and also, what the status of your order, what is the status of development. Yeah.
Okay. The last thing I wanted to highlight with the Founders Campaign is that usually when you look at a Kickstarter, you have kind of different tiers you can choose from. Yeah. And we didn't want to do like too many tiers. That's something we never done, and we're also not going to do. Yeah. But we have some ideas about how we can have this like very cool limited edition that is going to have like some pretty crazy special things, and also going to be very limited. I think only going to be like, let's say 50 pieces or so.
Would it be smart to just give away? No?
Eric is saying no.
We need to keep shrouded in secret.
Shrouded in secret. Okay, let's just say we're gonna have a very, very cool limited edition where you can make a big, where you can make a permanent impact on how the keyboard looks on the inside.
That's a great tease.
I think that is like about as far as we can go.
Yeah. And there would be only a certain, a limited amount of spots. For that.
Okay. So
and then the last part, to get back to the pouch, right, that was mentioned before, during the campaign, which we call the Founders Campaign, because it is, everybody that joins the Founders Campaign is going to be the original founder of making this keyboard and bringing it to market. Because the reality is that if you don't back us during the founders campaign, then we just simply don't have the financial interest to launch it to market and do those productions. So that's why we're calling it the founders campaign, because we do need you to fund and back our project in order to get it to the market. And we want to reward everybody that joins during that founders campaign period. So then that's why in that period we're going to give you some extra stuff that is exclusively for people that back us during the founders campaign. And one of them is what was mentioned before, a keyboard sleeve. So a pouch sleeve, something you can bring the 60% with you. And then there's a couple others, but we don't need to get into that now. But this one was guest right, so
this one was this is going to be part of the founders campaign.
So that's why, and we really want to stimulate and motivate you guys to just back us during the founders campaign, so you get the best out of the keyboard, basically.
I guess what you guys forgot to mention about the whole project hub is this founders campaign will be the best part picked from every other crowdfunding we did in the past, whether it was from the Lek edition, a Kickstarter, or Wooting. We just picked the best things.
Pick the things we like the most.
And made a big Frankenstein out of it for the founders campaign.
Basically, yes.
We're really building up the expectations now.
Five has set the bar for the super special edition, because she's ready to pay at least like 500 euros for it. So.
Whoa!
Okay, so that's the.
Okay, then we'll make it 500 euros.
$4.99.
Thanks, Violet.
Thanks, Violet.
Will there be a information page? Because some people are just cannot watch the stream at this point, and they're curious.
So there will be a small product page where you can subscribe your email to stay up to date about the project and the launch, etc. If you're already subscribed to the Project 5 or the Project 5 list, then you're already in the list. But you can always double check. And on that page, there will be a short summary of what we've just shared a bit. And as we get closer to the September launch date, that page will change into a countdown, and then we get to the launch, and
there you'll be able to find all information about it.
And then in the end, when it's launched, everything is out there. We're also planning to, like we've done always with these launches, a couple of days, a week before is usually the deadline where we send out an email to everybody that's waiting for it with all the details of what you can expect on launch, so that you can already make the decision in your head, because you have the information. So when it launches, you don't really need to think about what you're going to do. You just jump in and get what you wanted.
Okay. So
I don't want to elaborate on this question too much, so keep it short. But what is inside the keyboard? Is there a ARM chip inside?
There will be no ARM chip inside this keyboard. Even though we would have loved to, this is not the right time to switch. I think that's
and there's two reasons, right? One is, and this is a really big motivator to not do it for now, is there's a huge IC shortage, and especially with certain ARM chips that you'd want to use in the keyboard. So that would limit our development choices in what is available, which is not a good thing. And the second part is that the development time we would invest into making it ARM chip compatible will be at loss of features that we can continue developing for now for Lekker Switch, which we're not done with yet. And the chip we're using right now is still hitting all the marks.
There's also one difference I want to highlight, is that because the keyboard is smaller, we actually have more resources in the chip available. So we have less keys to scan, less RGB to control. So we are in a way already creating some leeway for this chip we're using right now.
So in that way, there's even less reason for us to force ourselves to make that switch.
Before we jump into the next topic, what keycaps or languages will be available during launch?
So if you've seen the Wooting 2 HE product page and how we launched it, we actually we'll launch the keyboard without keycaps. So, well, I'm saying it wrong. The keyboard is packed without keycaps, but you can, by standard, get the ABS keycaps. But what will happen is that just like the Wooting 2 HE, you'll get the keyboard box with the keyboard without keycaps inside, and you'll get a blister of the ABS keycaps which you can install. And okay, I thought I was going to grab the blister.
Yeah, I thought he was going to grab the blister as well.
Anyway, so, and the reason why we separate the keycaps from the keyboard is so that we can give you more choice in what keycaps you want to have.
Yeah.
Or just no keycaps and save some money on the keyboard.
Yeah.
Next topic.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I think like language-wise, you can expect to at least have the same support as the language we do now.
Right. So right now with
say.
ABS keycaps, we support Nordics, UK, German, and US ANSI.
Yeah. And we definitely want to grow our PBT language setup.
Yes. Yeah. And for PBT, we right now have US ANSI, US International, and we have German ISO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah. Erik grabbed a set of the German ones. Yeah.
I'm gonna show it. No, it's not the time. Let's
go. Yeah.
No, it's not the time.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any more questions, or you just want to go into the next topic?
Yeah, no questions.
No questions. Because now we're kind of like going into the next topic, so I think we'll be.
Yeah, we can go into the next.
Sure.
Yeah, and then we can end it up with more questions.
Okay.
So let's go a little bit back. Now you know we're going to launch it in September. We'll notify you of the date that we're going to launch it. But then when it comes to delivery and what state are we in development? So the official plan.
Can you show the strap a little bit more? Because now it's sort of hidden away.
Yeah, but then I need to.
So the planned delivery date, the delivery date that we show to the outside is Q2 2022. And I'll tell you a little secret now is that internally we have a production set for the end of February.
Dangerous.
No. But this is what I mean is that do not expect that to actually happen. But I just want to show you that we added some serious padding because we know from experience something will happen. You just don't know what it will be.
Yeah.
And we wanted to make sure we keep it flexible and there's enough padding in between so that we don't have to start saying now, oh, we have a delay. So set the expectations on Q2 2022.
Yeah.
That's when we're going to deliver.
Yeah.
Then the state of development.
Yeah.
You see what here looks like a complete keyboard.
Yeah.
But the reality is that it is in design and in mock-up and in PCB a working mock-up is what I should call it.
Yeah.
Meaning that, okay, we got all the things down, but now we need to verify, double check, and create the tooling for all the parts.
Yeah.
So we already gave a green light on the bottom case tooling, so that's in the works. We also gave a green light to the top plate tooling, so that is also in the works. And then on the PCB, we still need to give the green light on PCB design, and that needs a little bit more time. PCB development is pretty complicated, but once that goes into green light, it's just a matter of figuring out little details like tooling finishes. We'll get a first sample in. Maybe there is a tolerance issue, so they need to make a small change to the tooling.
Packaging.
Oh, and the packaging,
Very important.
So packaging, we this week finished the total packaging concept and drawings.
Yeah.
And now it's just a matter of getting feedback from the factory and making what we call the white box sample, which would be a white box of the packaging, so no graphics on it. And then we can test all the mechanics of the packaging. So when it comes to the keyboard development, we're very much on track for that production date and definitely for that delivery time. And for now, it doesn't look like there will be big issues, but like I said,
I think one thing I also want to highlight, because before, I think now we look also at PCB design a little bit differently. Because before we would kind of push PCB design a little bit closer to production, but now with how crazy the IC shortage is and how long some parts can be to purchase, that the factory is literally telling us right now, hey, can you already confirm the PCB? So it already start purchasing some parts.
And we've already purchased IC parts for the 60% production. like 3 months ago.
Yeah,
4
yeah,
months, but
yeah.
some of it even half a year ago.
Yeah.
And some recently is 3 months ago.
Yeah.
And that's all in preparation for this production because
Yeah.
we know it's going to come.
Yeah.
And if we wait until the last 3 months or so, we'll be too late.
Yeah.
So it makes everything extra challenging.
Yeah.
There was a question, but it was kind of unrelated.
Mm-hmm.
Unicom reviews. How many ranks will I approve in CSGO when I use this board? I mean, we haven't tested it in detail, but at least you should grow, I think, 3 or 4 ranks, but you probably wouldn't surpass Legendary Eagle Master.
There you go. There you
That's
go.
my assumption.
Yeah.
But if you're good enough, you can always make the global elite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This keyword is globally proof.
I'm pretty damn sure that if you would have an input speed comparison, that our keyboard is gonna be at least the best.
At least.
One of the best. Yeah.
At least the best.
At least the best.
Simply best, but at least.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, the best of. Let's put it that way.
At least
The very least. Yeah.
At least the best.
Yeah.
What
This
about
is
the-
should be our new tagline. At least the
At
best.
least the
At
best.
best.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
take control, at least the best.
Yeah.
You guys haven't said that much take control in the stream, you know. We need to
Oh yeah. So
Take
yeah,
control.
we need to keep repeating take control.
Yeah.
Take control. Yeah. So we're really doing our best
Yeah.
on our marketing game and really try to get that theme in, right?
Yeah.
Take control. Yeah.
What about the USB cable?
I think like the USB cable, we're not final yet.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be Type-C cable, obviously.
It will be at least the best.
At least the best. Yeah. I think like we're very happy with our cable as a, let's say as a the colorway. I think we're not 100% sure on yet.
Yeah.
But then are probably going to use like type-wise. We're going to use the same cable as the HC and the Lekker edition, and that is just because like it's a super high quality cable.
Yeah.
Like we looked at a lot of different cables.
Yeah.
I actually took apart a lot of cables to like compare internals.
Yeah.
Because like it will surprise you, like even when you look on the outside, when you cut it apart and you look at like what kind of layers it consists on, you can see a lot of difference between the quality, and this is by far the highest I've seen.
Smallest size with highest quality.
Yes.
Yeah. And we want to make we prefer to share the cable over multiple products.
Yeah.
But we're still in the limbo if we will or will not maybe adjust the colorway with yellow, for example.
Yeah, to match it. Yeah.
Yeah, to match the rest, but then not a little bit undecided, but it's also a financial aspect, you know. Do we want to have a ton of other color cables only for this model? These kind of things.
Yeah. Or aviator cable.
Any information about the typing angle?
Oh, so
Kevin already answered in chat, so I know the answer. Do you?
yeah, the standard is 6. It's a 6-degree angle. So when you put it keyboard on the table, it's a 6-degree angle, and there's no flip out feet, so you can't flip it out into a higher angle. The reason why we did not add flip out feet is because we wanted to lower the total profile of the keyboard. Adding flip out feet adds a shit ton of height to the keyboard, making it very bulky and really forcing you to use a wrist rest.
Yeah.
Will we do something about it, as in an attachment or something, to make a higher angle? For now, we're saying if there's a problem, we'll make the solution. Right now, we have not been able to determine an issue or a problem.
Yeah.
Anything about new switch types, new Lekker switch type, lighter springs, tactile? It's I've seen it coming by in the chat a few times.
For now, it's still the linear Lekker switches. If we bring out a different version, it will only be a different spring weight. But for now, we're also not planning to bring that out, as it does add more complexity to the project, and also is financially a bigger burden, because now we need to have not only a need to purchase a big amount of switches, which we can't all consume in one production, but we'd also need to have 2 different keyboard models all of a sudden, which adds up to the complexity and which one should I have on stock? These kind of issues. Yeah.
Let's slowly roll to the last topic and the open session.
I think this was the last topic.
There is one more. We have,
Yes.
of course, a big question for the viewers and the community people back it, because with 6% there are a lot of layers and tricks and different things,
Well,
and we need more input here.
Well, we kind of did cover it.
Yeah, we kind of did cover, but I think this is a very good question to kind of like end on and go into the open topic,
Yes.
because what is so important for 60% is layout, is remapping, is layers, is arrow keys, specifically arrow keys. So we are already experimenting a lot. Like we all, I actually I don't use a 60% keyboard, but I kind of modified my Lacquer edition. I took out all like non 60% keycaps and switches, so I kind of like forced myself to only use this part, and kind of experimenting like with our current setup, like how we can improve the layout. But we're also looking for your feedback here. Like, okay, if you use a 60% keyboard, what
This is Jeroen's keyboard.
this is very it's kind of nasty probably. So like
It's both for development, because I can probably pop this off.
I
know the cable's there.
Yeah.
But then it's also for development,
Yeah.
right?
But just to just to finish, okay, so if you use a 60% keyboard, what is your layer support like? What do you like about it? What don't you like about it? How do you use arrow keys? What do you miss about arrow keys? And do you have any ideas to make it better? And also, I think something we still kind of need to explore is like, okay, can we also use what you talked about, where you have like either a tap or a hold, or also use some sort of analog features, like, okay, what if I press the key fast or slow?
Yeah.
That's stuff we're all still experimenting with, and this is also where we need your feedback.
Yeah, and I would also add here is that we're also looking at the other issue where once you start remapping all these layers on your keyboard, the first problem you run into with a lot of these 60% keyboards and other keyboards generally also is that the function icons on the keys don't match anymore.
Yeah.
And as soon as you customize like a layout you really like, those icons don't match anymore. It's really annoying, right?
Yeah.
So we also decided for our 60%, you know what, we should just keep away the icons because it's stupid. Everybody has its own preference in customizing these layers and how they want to deal with things. So we should look at a different way of making it easy for you to learn your layouts. Because once you know your layout, once you know your layers, you don't need the shortcuts anymore.
Yeah.
So we have some different ideas about how we can help you let's say put on some training wheels and get through the layer training, and then once you're done you can just turn it off, you know, because you're so used to it.
Yeah.
Maybe we can show some details on the back of the keyboard again, because I don't think we really highlight the ribs.
Okay, sure. I guess we should do it without RGB, right? That would be a bit more flexible.
Yeah, the cables a bit,
You want to do highlight cam?
Let's do the close-up cam.
Okay, let me just put this
the
back.
back.
Oh, the other way around.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, it's close-up cam time. You just kind of want to run
Yeah,
the
okay.
again?
Okay, so sorry?
Close-up cam.
So some of the details are not very clear on this mock-up that will be in the final, but here you do see the grill. We call it the grill. And in the final one, let's say the indented areas will have a reflective plastic. So everything will be a matte rougher plastic, but only the indents will be a reflective plastic. So in that way it will pop out more as you move the keyboard around. Then there's also going to be another little detail, is around the USB port, we'll have a special, or like a little pattern type of surface, just to highlight the port. But once you plug in, you don't see it, but it's a little detail that's going to be pretty cool. And then also for the clip, on the inside of the clip, now I'm not 100% sure if we kept it or not, but it should be also a reflective plastic. But then we didn't use reflective plastic over the majority of the keyboard, because obviously that would be a fingerprint magnet.
Yeah.
Nobody likes that.
Yeah.
So these are some of the details we added to the case.
Yeah.
Then the general case design. All right, and we have our Wooting logo. This indent area will also be reflective, so the logo jumps out more than what it does right now. Then as you can see, though from the side it looks like, or though from the top and the side, it looks like this is like a solid piece here, but actually it's trickery, design trickery, because it's not. And this is actually, I've never seen this before. And because this is not a solid block, and because it also does not touch the table on the front here, and because the edges here are a little bit thicker for extra aesthetic, it almost looks like the keyboard is floating on your table.
Yeah, and this is something that I really love about the design. And this is something I didn't even notice before. Like in all the renders we made and the designs we made. Oh, you want to take it over?
I've switched it with you now.
Okay.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I think that's better.
Yeah.
So I think like in all the renders we made, I think it didn't really get highlighted, or this effect didn't really get highlighted. What, do you want to move away?
Yeah, a little bit more.
This way?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Because we have like these like small edges around and this kind of floating, like I think it won't show on stream, but when it's on your desk, you kind of have this kind of light play, shadow play around, and the shadow play kind of merges with the black plastic on the side, and it really feels like your keyboard is floating. I think that's a very, very cool detail.
And it's also thanks to, if you look on the sides, you see there is a lot of 60% keyboards. They have this edge here completely flat all the way. But here you can see we actually made it flat together with the PCBA basically.
Yeah.
But to create the angle, this whole area here is, how you call this? Curved.
Curved, yeah.
Yeah, so it blends away with the bottom case, which is also very nice.
Yeah. And it kind of makes me wonder if this like kind of floating idea, if that was intentional for Kevin.
Not necessarily. I think it's an after effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are a lot of questions. So we need to go through them pretty fast. How do you switch layers or profiles? Is there like a mode key? Where's the mode key?
All right. So, well, this is the beauty, right? This is where you need to play with layers. If you go in, if you can actually download the Utility version 4 without having a Wooting keyboard and see how we do remapping for the keyboard, it will show you the a keyboard layout and it will show you the remapping stuff.
Yeah.
But what we have for now, we can add more. We have 2 extra layers. So the first layer is the typical one. We placed function here. This will also probably be the standard, but you can place function anywhere you want. You can just move the keycap, right? But this would access your function layer 1, and then you could put here, for example, your arrow keys, right? But then again, this is all depending on what your preference is and how you'd want to map things. Yeah. So in my use case scenario, I have function layer 2 on caps lock here, so I can press it with this pinky and then also access function layer 2 and activate a bunch of stuff, or WASD arrow keys, for example.
Yeah.
And then let's say now I want to activate caps lock, I can still press this function, press caps lock, and caps lock is on.
Yeah.
And then this way you can really play with the layers and how you access different things. And the key point with learning this is just about muscle memory and getting used to your hotkeys. And that's where you need some guidance.
Yeah.
You need to be able to customize it to your preference, and you need some training wheels to get used to it.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, I think what we do really great is that the remapping feature is very easy to use, very easy to understand, and very easy to change.
Yeah. And I think also critical is that we're not really like decided on exactly like let's say the standard layout we're going to end up with, but we're going to put a lot of time into researching like the sort of like the perfect starter layout.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, if you're just getting started with a 60% keyboard, like this is your default layout. This is a tried and true tested layout. And again, this is also where we need a lot of feedback from people that are already using 60% keyboards. Like we need your standard layout to help us out and try different things. And also going to make it very clear in the utility, like what it looks like, what you can expect, and okay, how can you use and learn it.
Yeah. And of course we'll provide different templates that you can use, so you don't need to think about what you like. You can just try some of the ones that we recommend.
Yeah, I'm already thinking like to make some sort of like this is like a, let's say a gamer proof, because I read like a lot about like 60% layout online, but for my coding setup, it really sucks. Yeah, and that's because like usually for coding you're gonna use arrow keys in combination with modifiers a lot. So if you have arrow keys in an FN layer, it's actually very, very difficult because you easily get like 4 or sometimes even 5 key combinations. That's very, very difficult. So actually for my coding setup, what I did is I just make these 4 keys the arrow keys, So I still have the arrow keys available because I don't really use the right modifiers anyway. So that's like sort of like profiles we can set up to like optimize the layer usage.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go even faster with questions. Will there be a TKL keyboard with lacquer switches?
There will not be a TKL keyboard with lacquer switches.
Yeah.
What about selling other springs separately? Since they're not standard MX springs, can we exchange them? So we can exchange them right now.
Yeah.
You can even sell them under the blank brand.
We're still working on the spring part. There is a chance that we can get lighter weight springs.
Yeah.
But still needs confirmation. But we're working on it.
Yeah.
How are the stabilizers doing?
The stabilizers are plate-mounted stabilizers, but they are going to be a bit different from little bit different from other OEM plate-mounted stabilizers, because there will be a small mold change in the stabilizers that we use right now. It will add an extra rib inside, which will increase the sturdiness of the housing, which will help against rattle.
Yeah.
Well, basically rattle in this case.
And I think also like we did explore PCB mount stabilizers, but then we couldn't get the compatibility with the 60% cases. Or no, we couldn't have them both at the same time.
Oh, right, the screw-in ones, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. The big problem with screw-in exactly is that you can't have both plate-mounted and screw-in compatibility at the same time. You have to choose.
Yeah.
This one is also an interesting thing that we need to maybe look into. The USB-C port looks relatively narrow. Do you foresee any issues with supporting custom cables that customers may already have?
No. And the reason...
No.
No, well...
Okay.
Yeah, because
I think let's use the close-up cam because I think like it might look a little bit... Where is it?
Close-up time.
Unless you have like a really, really weird-ass head, right?
Totally opulent.
Oh.
Okay, so here you see the USB-C port. There's a small roof here, which helps hide the metal area, so it looks more...
Yeah, sure.
You have a little roof area on the top here, which helps hide the metal of the cable. But usually if you plug in USB-C, it already sticks out a little.
Yeah. But then I think what you can see here, and we may need to play with the light a little bit, is that there's still quite some space here available on the top and on the sides.
Yeah.
And I know that Kevin actually used a lot of different USB cables to test the spacing of this. So it's not made for our cable. It's not like, oh, we look at our cable and we make this
only
big enough for our
cable.
cable. No, it's like we looked at a lot of different cables. We looked at a lot of different cables, and we make sure we have enough spacing for any cable you want to use.
All right. Is it easy to clean?
Well, it depends. Well, it depends on how you clean the keyboard in general.
Yeah. I think like one big difference what I noticed when I was playing around with it earlier when I was doing some PCB work is that it's much easier to take the parts out because
somebody's asking also to plug in that PCBA to look at the RGB lights.
This one?
Yeah,
this one doesn't work. Yeah.
There's your answer.
Wait, does it?
No, it does, but not all the LEDs go on that one.
Let me try.
But you can don't type too much on it, right? Because
this one, it doesn't work completely yet. But then you can kind of see it. It doesn't really.
I mean, if you look at keyboard cleaning, you can take it out, right? That's what you're saying.
Yeah, and I just want to say that we only have these 4 screws that you can also reach from the top. So you only need to take out 4 keycaps, and then you can, with the screwdriver, you can go through and get the screws out, and then you can just pop it out. And this one is super.
You can get out all the gunk.
Yeah. And then this one also you can, reach much easier in between.
There is one thing that we did not mention at all, and that is that the 68, it's called the 60HE, by the way.
Yeah.
It's going to be waterproof. So, or I should say splash, like you can't literally put it underwater, but you can splash water in all angles and it will not damage the PCB. So if you spill a drink or whatever, right, it doesn't...
talk about clean.
Talk about clean,
cleaning.
So you
can...
can...
questions and then we'll sort of need to round it up, the whole thing. Are the keys hot swappable? Can we get lighter switches?
The keys are hot swappable. You can just take them out. Can we get lighter switches? Not at launch, but we're still looking if we can sell lighter springs separately.
Yeah. working on that part.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Can we expect a promo video on YouTube from the previous LE Lacquer edition?
A promo video?
Yeah,
Yes.
we're working on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be this setup. Similar in a video.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows? Be
Right,
surprised
yeah.
pretty soon. This one is interesting. Have you considered selling it as a DIY kit? And I think now is a nice time to elaborate on the standard PCBA design for all people that jump in late.
Yeah, so when we started with the 60%, we did focus on the idea that it would be easier to DIY the whole thing.
Yeah.
But then there's a very key part about our keyboard is that we can't just sell a plate and a PCB and the switches and then you can like mix and match around. What is very vital for our keyboard to work as according to our specifications is that both the metal plate and the PCB need to be in one line and well connected together. Because as soon as they are not in one line, like we have with the Wooting 2HE, they need to make sure that all your tolerances and spec are in order. And then it makes it very difficult to make your own custom case, etc. Because you can't just like swap it out and align it yourself easily.
Yeah.
So what we focused on is just making sure that first of all, this is a module. You just need the module.
Yeah.
And this module has, and that's the second part, all the standard 60% installation holes on PCB and plate, so that you can install in almost any 60% bottom case. And then that's the part where you go DIY, because you could make your own aluminum case if you want to go as far. Or you can take you can even take some of the bigger brand, 60% case and pop it in there.
The one with the duck?
The one with the duck, yeah. You could also pop it in there if you want, right?
Yeah.
You can really, that's the part where you can really start customizing on. But then when it comes to like customizing the switch, you're going to be limited to either what switch we offer for lacquer, because it is a whole effect switch. It uses magnets, and there is no such other thing really in the market as this, that you could just swap like that.
Yeah.
Or if we bring out the lighter spring versions, because the springs are not MX springs, and you can just pop open the switch and swap out the spring. You can lube it if you want.
They are pre-lubed.
They are already pre-lubed. Stabilizers will also are also pre-lubed. So we try to make it as compatible as possible,
so basically
and DIY as
DIYs
possible.
with this kit.
Nice. Let's recap everything really fast. Like where can people sign up, for example, on a website? What can people expect in the next coming weeks? To pre-order in September, and what people can expect in the next 2 weeks, and then we close off the stream.
Sure. So this stream is basically you can see it as the kickoff of the project. So we're going to, the next big step is going to be working towards the Founders campaign that we talked a lot about, which is basically going to be our 30-day pre-order campaign, during which time you can get the keyboard with like some extra cool stuff. That's also the time you can expect like most updates, maybe some videos, blog posts, everything. That is expected to go live in September. And until that moment, I think you can go to the website right now and where's the project fee? We kind of need to post
it's missing a couple pictures and some copy, but over the weekend there will be a page ready.
Yeah. And you can subscribe, and then we'll also, going forward to the Founders campaign, we're going to send out email updates where you get more information about the product, and also like, okay, what kind of like reward tiers do you have?
Yes.
What kind of stuff is in the box? All that stuff will be in email.
And if you want to make sure you stay in the loop by email, you can already go to wooting.io/next, NEXT, and just pop your email in that Project 5 banner. That would be the same list that we will use for the product page, like the preview page that we will have over the weekend.
Yep.
So,
Some people are really anxious about not getting the limited edition, what you need to do to actually get the limited edition, but be patient. And
it's going to be in the email.
We will review everything when it comes. And then there's one final question. Do we support PayPal?
Oh, so we will support PayPal for European and international customers on our international store, but we will not support PayPal on our US store which is for US and Canadian customers. If you do still want to use as a US customer PayPal, you could always go to the international store and use PayPal. But otherwise we don't support it.
Yeah.
And I don't think by launch we're going to have more payment options than what we have now available on the store.
No. Okay. I think that's it for the stream then.
Yeah.
Hey.
Nice.
Best stream ever.
Best stream ever.
I think the most
This
professional
was-
stream
yeah,
ever.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then next week Friday we're already going to have
A normal live stream.
yeah.
Back on the couch, I think.
But
Or
we
maybe
need to
here.
get we need to get some fans here, I guess, because you guys are sweating like.
Yeah,
Sweating
I'm pretty hot.
buckets.
Yeah.
I have this water bottle here.
Yeah. But then next week Friday we'll have our regular live stream. I'm not sure we're going to cover at that point, but then we'll be back again with the live stream. And then every 2 weeks from that point we have these live streams where we just do general updates about Wooting, which we'll also hear more and more about Project 5, but which is now Wooting 60HE.
Wooting 60HE. Basically, go to wooting.io/next. It's NEXT.
Yes, put your email in there and you'll be sure to be up to date. And
Any
then
questions about HE, Wooting to HE, send them over to Discord.
Yeah.
yes,
Send them there. Or send us an email at social@wooting.io.
Exactly.
yes, exactly. All right, then thank you guys for joining. That was really exciting. Well, I'm really happy that we
finally were able to show it.
Yeah, because
Yes. And remember, take control.
take control.